Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City podcast. Again, courtesy of Odyssey. I'm Dave Palais, Josh Palais, and Mario Heron will join us in just a little bit. But we're going to start the show off again with one of our favorite guests. It's Fernando Ramirez from the Sporting Tribune. And Fernando, I appreciate you joining us today as we talk about the Chargers. They're coming off a loss against the 49ers in a game where I think many people thought they played better than they were capable of playing. But at the same time, in the second half, they disappeared, couldn't put any points up. I want to start there, first of all, in that 49er Charger game, because it's the first game all year where I didn't pick the Chargers to win. As a matter of fact, I thought the 49ers would win 34-13. I thought it was going to be a complete blowout. I thought the Chargers played the best they could possibly play, but that's all they had. They didn't have enough talent, basically healthy on the field to compete with that team. They did much better than I thought. What was your feelings from Sunday night's game against the Niners?
No, well, again, thank you guys for having me on. I thought it was the best, and people will probably criticize me for saying it, but it's probably the best defensive game that Brandon Staley's called. I thought they really did a really good job. They're undermanned. You have 3 healthy defensive linemen by halftime, I believe, or maybe going into the third quarter, and those guys, Sebastian Joseph Day, Morgan Fox, and God, I keep on Braden Fayoko. They really, they played the rest of the game. They didn't complain. They played well. They were able to slow down the 49ers to an extent. They were able to hold them in goal line situations. The only thing that was tough was that obviously the 49ers were going to get through. They got through twice. But the thing is that you had to come out with a quick game plan, and they did. In the first half, they should have put up more points, like you said, than they did. They put up 16. They easily could have put up 3 touchdowns, if not a little bit more. But the problem is Trey McKitty has a huge drop that he could have walked into the end zone. You have the Justin Herbert possible concussion where he got checked out. Chase Daniel comes in, and it's like he had never played football before. He didn't know what way was up. He's like, hey, no. My thing is the clipboard. I'm not supposed to go into the game. So that was pretty interesting as well. And but man, you got to give credit to the 49ers, and I've said it now on 2 different shows. D'Amico Ryans, his second half, the way he operated in the second half with that team, it was incredible. They did a really good job. I think the Chargers had 17 yards rushing, 35 passing in the second half. That was phenomenal. I think he's next in line for a head coaching job. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I thought I had picked San Francisco 38, Chargers 21. But that was pretty impressive by them, and that just shows that if they can get, I know the Chargers, that's always going to be it. The Los Angeles or San Diego Chargers, if it's always going to be with them, but if they were healthy, I'm sure it would have been a different kind of game for them on Sunday. But yeah, no, now they're 5-4, and they got Kansas City coming into town on Sunday.
Yeah, from a talent standpoint, the 49ers were pretty much at full strength, and the Chargers were far from that. Offensively, it looks like without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams out there, that the 49ers just targeted Austin Eckler. At least that's what I would do too, to try to take him out of the game and let the other guys like Carter and Palmer beat you.
And then Gerald Everett went out with that injury.
And Gerald Everett got hurt as well. I guess I have a 2-part question. First of which is, do you think Keenan Allen or Mike Williams is going to play this week? And second of which, if they don't, do you think they have a chance against the Chiefs?
It depends on if Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling play. I know Juju's in concussion. I know he went out with that concussion. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who knows if I know he went out with an injury as well. But man, Patrick Mahomes is really good right now. But Brandon Staley told us on Monday, hey, Keenan and Mike should practice this week. Mike told NBC's Melissa Starks, hey, he went through his regular warm-up before the game. And then he said that he's going to do whatever he can to make it to be able to play on Sunday. That's where I feel like people don't give Mike enough credit. A couple of years ago, I remember he got hurt during training camp. It was when COVID was going on, 2020. He gets hurt, and somebody had reported, Mike Williams is not playing the first game in Cincinnati. Mike worked so hard to get to play in that game, and he ended up making an impact in that game as well. But that's the thing. Mike always comes back a little bit earlier, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for how hard he works to try and get himself back. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Mike probably plays this weekend. Mike has been very good against Kansas City. He for some reason he picks them apart. They can't slow him down. So that'll be interesting. But if they get both of them back, then the football gods are looking down on the Chargers and saying, "Hey, we want you to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, because if they can get both of them back, I think this offense is really going to flow. I think you'll see DeAndre Carter used in a different way. Right now, him and Michael Bandy are being used in a weird way. Like Michael Bandy's a number 2. Michael Bandy's not a number 2. So
I don't even know if Michael Bandy is an NFL player.
well, yeah, no, we'll see. Hey, let's give the little San Diego guy, USD guy, some credit. I actually think that if they maybe put him in the slot with Keenan and Mike and some other weapons, he might be able to get open. But you're right. Yeah, no, right now they're using Josh Palmer, who's their 3rd/4th receiver. They're using DeAndre Carter, who's their 5th, and then they're using Michael Bandy, who's a practice squad guy. So yeah, I think if they can get Mike and Keenan back, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to go toe-to-toe with Kansas City this weekend.
It's so crazy, man, of what's gone on with Keenan Allen. We talk about the injuries all the time. I know you do too. Yeah. It's nothing that surprising. I mean, if you followed the Chargers for as long as you can remember, this is what the Chargers organization always has: just breakdown after breakdown. Yeah. But Keenan Allen, whenever he shows up, he shows up. I mean, like when Josh asked you the question, I literally was thinking, whatever. I mean, I'm so frustrated with it. I'm not saying he's not trying to get back healthy, but at the same time, I was like, how many PTO time do you have? There's a lot of time you're taking off that we haven't seen you, that this team could use you. And when I get frustrated with Keenan, I'm like, well, I shouldn't get frustrated with Keenan. I'm frustrated with Tom Telesco because Tom Telesco did nothing 2 weeks ago to set this team up to be in a situation where they should be able to compete. If they had another receiver, maybe 2 other receivers, because you didn't know Everett was going to get hurt against the Niners, they win that game.
Yeah,
that was one of those things. Basically you're out of weapons. You're stuck. Joshua Palmer has no business being a number 1 at this point in his career, and that's the way the Chargers have to treat him. But Tom Telesco knew that, and then you sit and more breakdowns happen. It's like the list comes out every week, and we shouldn't be surprised, but the numbers are staggering. And then all of a sudden they need defensive line help. Well, they got rid of Jerry Tillery. That was very surprising, but you could see why that happened. But again, that comes back to Tom Telesco. You're the one that chose that guy in the first round.
Yeah.
How does this happen? I used to be a big Telesco fan. This year I've been very frustrated that he did nothing to help the team out come the trade deadline.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things where you kind of see it on social media as well. Some fans are frustrated with him. Some fans are like, oh, well, look what he did in the offseason. And it's kind of like, well, one offseason can't save you. I mean, I don't know how the future is going to be, but I mean, this offseason, he could, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm sure he'll use well, look, we were the most injured team, but it's like that can only get you so far. I mean, this team has no depth behind it. Like you said, at receiver, you have Keenan and Mike, and then there's a fat gap. There's a gap between Josh Palmer and even the other guys. So, and definitely, I definitely do think that he should have made a trade at least, go out and get somebody. Obviously, Brandon was the one that told us that they were in some trade talks, but that just nothing materialized. The Brandon Cooks one, I mean, I understood why, I guess. If Houston wasn't willing to pay part of his contract, you obviously can't take it on, because I think the Chargers only had $5 million under the cap. But yeah, no, I definitely understand where the frustration comes from the fans. I mean, it's kind of like in the past, Telesco really has never done that's what I think I told you guys the last time that they made a significant trade was Chris Chambers in 2007. During the Telesco, yeah. and look what happened there. Because of that Chris Chambers trade, they were able to make it all the way to the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Because he added another weapon at Phillip Rivers. Because back then they had Eric Parker, Ian McCardell. They add Chris Chambers, and it was him and Vincent Jackson that really elevated the team and everything. So it just one of those things where you want a little bit more. You see, okay, yeah, the Rams are falling apart. But dude, they have a championship. They won one. Yep. They're paying their dues. They're paying they're paying the devil for all the witchcraft that they did to get there, essentially. But I mean, you just need one, and that's the problem. Is that I get the frustration with Telesco and with him not making any moves. It's been a regular thing though. It's like it's nothing new from the 10 years that he's been here. The only trade that he made was Sean Lismore back in 2013, and that was that was kind of a bad move. But I understand the frustration that fans have with him not being as active as they wish he was.
We always talk about how the Chargers had 8 players on the top 100. Well, when the 49ers added Christian McCaffrey, that gave them Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Sorry about that. You always talk about how the Chargers had 8 players in the top 100. Well, when the 49ers added Christian McCaffrey, that gave them 8 players in the top 100. And then I see the Chargers go toe-to-toe with the 49ers, shorthanded. So I think, what if, right? We always talk about the Chargers, what if? Well, right now they sit right outside the playoffs. If they get their players back, do you think this team actually has a legitimate chance in the playoffs?
If you can get Joey Bosa back, if you can get Keenan Allen back and you get Mike and they're 100% and they're ready to go, I do feel like they could make a little bit of a run in the back end. The only thing is you're going to have to face some tough teams. You're going to have to, I mean, you don't have to worry about the Cardinals. That new Call of Duty, I'm sure, is dropping in a couple of days. Kyler Murray's going to be distracted with that. So he'll be focused on that. But then you have to go to Las Vegas. I know people are like, oh, well, the Raiders are falling apart. Yeah, but they're still going to play you tough. It's a divisional game. I don't think Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow will be back for that game. I think that's their last game on IR if they are on IR. You can get Joshua Kelly back. You know what's funny? A lot of people, if Joshua Kelly can come back and he can be fresh and he can run the way he was running before, I think the Chargers could have a little bit of juice also in the running game. But yeah, no, I definitely think they can make a run. You play Miami, then you play Tennessee. That's going to be the hard stretch. You play Tennessee or you play Miami, then you play Tennessee. Both at home, but they're going to be two dangerous. Those are two dangerous teams. But if you can split that or even get 2 wins out of that, then you're good. So I mean, it's going to be tough, but I do feel like if they have those guys ready, then I feel like they can do it. Especially because Justin is just going to feel like Justin has no weapons right now. So if he can get both of those guys back, he's going to be like, oh my God, okay, we can finally do things. We can finally go down the field. We can finally, I can finally hit my guy on third down and Keenan Allen. So I do feel like if they can get those guys back, I do feel like they can make a run. I mean, I don't know how other people feel, but I feel like that general manager's seat is getting a little hot. So I do think Tom Telesco needs to make the playoffs this season. So I'm sure the team, well, I mean, independently from that, I feel like the team is good enough to be, even with all the injuries, to make a run at the playoffs. And somebody yesterday mentioned the 2010 Green Bay Packers that had 16 players on IR and still made it to the Super Bowl and won it. I don't know if the Chargers could be that good, but I do certainly feel like they're talented. And I feel like every AFC team has shown how vulnerable they are.
Yep.
So you can take advantage of almost any of those teams in the playoffs.
I tell you, I'm really interested to talk as far as that stretch goes you just mentioned with Miami and Tennessee, because Miami has crazy weapons. I mean, right now they're just amazing to watch. They're a fun team to watch. We said it early in the season that, man, you look at those 3 speedsters they have, plus 2 has figured it out. But then the following week, you have the Titans, who really are just, I think, maybe the most physical team in the NFL, which always sounds kind of crazy to me. I mean, it's tackle football. Everybody's supposed to be physical.
Yeah.
But Tennessee goes about it a little bit different, and that's all because of Derrick Henry. I want to see how they react to the speed against the Dolphins and how they react to the physicalness. And also, man, for a team that breaks down a lot, I'm kind of nervous about injuries in the Tennessee game.
Yeah, no, and the crazy part is that I know he was on the practice squad for half of the year, but I think Braden Fayoko is going to be huge in that Tennessee game, just because he kind of swallows guys up and he's able to kind of get, I don't know how he's so elusive enough to kind of get by guys, and he's able to make big tackles or at least slow down the opposing running back. But that game, you're going to need Derwin. You're going to need all these big guys to really, Kenneth Murray cannot let guys slip out of his hands the way he kind of did against the San Francisco. I heard a chuckle against the San Francisco 49ers. So they're going to have to play sound football. Now, when it comes to the Dolphins game, and I know people are going to get on me for this one, you need to catch some of those throws that Tua throws. Some guys overrun, and Tua, when he throws long, there's times where the receivers have to come back and try and catch him. So the guys just need to be alert. They need to turn around. They can't get those stupid penalties where you run into the receiver and you bail them out with a penalty. So they just have to play smart, efficient football. But the thing with the Dolphins, they're so good right now also because they can run the football, and they're running the football very well. So they just need to be able to slow guys like that down. But playing a team against San Francisco right now kind of gives you a glimpse of what you're going to expect from Miami. So I think that'll kind of help them out a little bit. But yeah, no, that stretch is going to be crazy, because those two, and then you go to Indy. I don't know, I think it's Christmas. No, the day after Christmas. So I don't know how Jeff Saturday is going to have that team. And then you have the Rams on Sunday Night Football, and then you finish out in Denver. The one thing you want to avoid is that Denver game being a win and you're in. You kind of want to go with a playoff spot already secured going into that game in Denver, because you just don't know. Like in Denver, for some reason, these guys just don't play well. And I remember at the beginning of his career, Phillip played really well in Denver, and it was the back end where he really didn't play as well. But you want to go in kind of, if you're going to have a wild card spot, you want to go into that game already with a wild card spot. But yeah, no, they definitely that's going to be a tough stretch, and that, like you said, that's going to show how tough this team really is. That these next few games are going to show how tough this team really is.
All right, Fernando, I'll ask you one last question before we let you go. Give us your honest prediction of how the Chargers-Chiefs game plays out.
Can I say it if?
Yeah.
If
I'm going to get a jersey that says "if" on it. We've heard a lot of ifs
on the back. If. I saw some guy had one in San Francisco. It said injuries, and it had a number 1 on it. So I was dying. I was like, oh god. I'll say if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams come back.
It's a big if.
Yeah, I'll say that they win. If Keenan Allen and Mike Williams come back, I think the water's starting to get kind of to this level right here, right below your nose. I think they pull out the game. They're going to split. They're going to have to split with Kansas City. I think they beat Kansas City, and they split the series 1-1. But if only Mike plays or only Keenan plays, then I'll say Kansas City wins the game. But this weekend, the matchup I'm excited for, Travis Kelce versus Derwin James. I always love watching those two guys go together. That's always a fun matchup.
We do too. Fernando, again, appreciate the time. It's Fernando Ramirez from the Sporting Tribune. Fernando, I have not given up on the Chargers. You've got on me for not wearing the hat. Dude, I'm back. Okay? I'm back. I'm a little frustrated, but man, I've not given up on this team. Okay?
There you go. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. And like I said, if you guys, the next time you guys need me, let me know. And I'm always free to jump on with you guys. Appreciate you guys.
You got it. We appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you soon, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
That's Fernando Ramirez again from the Sporting Tribune. Always a great guest. Always a lot of fun to talk Charger football with him. A lot of ifs there. I mean, you heard it, Josh, right? I mean, they're just a ton of ifs, and that's what this team is right now. Is the ifs. You know, we'll get into our predictions a little bit later on, but I'll tell you right now, as Mario Heron rejoins the show, if one of those guys comes back, Keenan or Mike Williams comes back, I like the Chargers' chances in this game. I just like the way the Chargers play against the Chiefs. I'm not one of those guys that go, the Chiefs are at this level here and the Chargers are way down here. I think the Chargers can play with Kansas City. It's just a matter, can they play with them for 60 minutes? It always seems to be the problem when anyone faces the Chiefs. The Chiefs always know it's a 60-minute game and seem to be able to rally with 3 minutes remaining, no matter what the score is, whereas other teams seem to fall apart against Kansas City. It's what makes Andy Reid, the coach that he is and the players that he has, understand the scheme of things. It's really incredible what Mahomes has done. The Chargers got to learn how to win. It's just straight out. They got to learn how to win games that they're losing.
Yeah, you give me Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler, and I'll take those 3 guys, skill position against any offense in the NFL.
Yep.
If we have all 3 of those players, I like our chances. Pair them along with Justin Herbert, who can make any play on the field. I like what we have. But I'm tired of saying if. As a fan, I've been saying if ever since I was a little kid. I've been a fan of this team ever since I can imagine. Yep. You know, we've talked about Phillip Rivers, great teams, and now we've moved on to Justin Herbert. We're in the same situation. It's if we didn't have injuries. Enough is enough, dude. Let's get these guys back and let's see what we can do with everybody at full strength.
Not only that, get people to shut up about, can the Chargers beat a good team? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they can beat the Chiefs, and that's a sign to them and to people around the NFL that, oh yeah, we can beat a good playoff team. We're not just beating up on the crappy teams that are on our schedule. We can actually beat a playoff caliber team and a Super Bowl contending team. So I think it's going to be a huge test for him. Obviously, we said at the beginning of the year, huge goal. Got to be able to split with the Chiefs. Got to be able to split. And I'm so sick of Travis Kelce. I don't know why, dude. He's like hacked my algorithm, man. He's like in every ad on my phone. I'm like, dude, this guy, like, my Lord. But I'm hoping for a big Chargers win. I'm getting a little sick of the Chiefs hype. Maybe it's because my girlfriend's family is all Chiefs fans, and it's getting pretty annoying. They don't know, like, her little bro's like 7. He doesn't know pain. Because he just has Mahomes. Like, you don't know pain. It's like little rugrat. Like, you gotta know what pain is. Hopefully he gets it this Sunday.
So, you know, it's you look at Casey, and right now they would have the number 1 seed, right, in the playoff picture. I mean, the Buffalo Bills have slipped all the way to number 6. Kansas City all of a sudden jumps up as that team again. Like, before the season began, you know, we said, well, who are the best teams in the AFC? Well, Kansas City is doing exactly what I think most people predicted they would do. I think Kansas City's even played a little bit better without, better than we thought without Tyreek Hill. Not saying they're a better team without Tyreek Hill, saying that they have done better than what I thought they would do. I thought losing Tyreek Hill would be a huge disadvantage for the Chiefs, and it's the system. The system obviously works out. As long as you have Kelce, you can put any receivers out there. A year ago, people in Pittsburgh, even 2 years ago, were thinking Juju was done. Well, he's been a tremendous asset for that team the entire season. Now he's in the concussion protocol and everything else. But I honestly believe the Chiefs don't have injuries to guys that would affect them as far as wins and losses like the Chargers do heading in. I mean, you're talking about, again, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. You're talking about Everett. You're talking about so many different guys that are down all their different weapons. It's very frustrating, right? You want to see the best effort on Sunday Night Football, second chance you get in front of a national audience to prove that you're the real deal. Mara, you pointed it out a couple days ago as far as the schedule goes and saying, where's your signature win? This would be your signature win. And hopefully moving forward as we're close to Thanksgiving, this is where the good teams pull it together.
Yep, and that's just the appetizer for the Chiefs talk. We're going to get more into it on Thursday. I'm really interested about this next topic because it's a huge question mark to me. I didn't want to ask Fernando because I wanted to save it for us selfishly. Jerry Tillery gets cut from the team midseason, and you got to wonder what the hell is going on. We're already shorthanded on the defensive line. We're terrible against the run. Why would you cut a guy? And then Mario sends these great quotes, and I'm going to read a couple of them to you. Khalil Mack said, "It's unfortunate. It's something that I really don't think I've been a part of in the NFL in the sense of the middle of the season cut. It's a weird situation, but at the same time, he's a talented player, so whatever he chooses to do, he's going to be able to ball out and do his thing." Justin Herbert said they were friends. This is a Brandon Staley decision. And then Coach Staley said, competing visions for the role moving forward. It just became clear that he wasn't going to be a fit anymore. He also said that Jerry wasn't compatible with the team and wasn't going in the same direction as everybody else. I'll start with you, Dave. When I read you these quotes and you see what happened, what are your initial thoughts?
I think he's an odd guy. He's a head case guy. He's a guy that's tearing the locker room apart. I mean, the issue is if you're willing to give a guy up in the NFL that's a first-round pick, we all know how valuable first-round picks are. It's hard to do. There are plenty of times you'll see in the NFL where the first-round pick obviously hangs around longer than he should if he was, let's say, a fourth or fifth-round pick, because the general manager still has to go back to the owner and explain why you took him number one and why we're paying him so much money. You had to be a tremendous cancer either on the field, in the locker room, anything for the Chargers to cut you loose. Not only did the Chargers cut him loose, they ended up losing 2 more defensive linemen. So you basically lost 3 defensive linemen in the last week by making this move. Obviously, there's some talent there because when you look at the waiver claims, a third of the NFL put claims in on them. You know, they're trying to grab him, including the Chiefs are one of those teams that are trying to get him. So whatever he is, and you know, to use the word cancer, because that's what you always hear when someone's bad in the locker room, that he's a cancer guy. I've never seen an eye guy that plays the position Tillery plays. I've seen it from wide receivers. I've seen it from running backs. I've seen it from quarterbacks. I've even seen it from cornerbacks, but I've never seen it from a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. Like, really, dude, you're an eye guy? You're the issue? It is very strange behavior. And like Khalil Mack said, I've never seen it in the NFL. Well, I've never seen it either as a fan.
Mario, what do you think?
Yeah, and going off that point, Dave, like as a defensive lineman, especially the defensive tackle, like part of your job's to make gaps for the linebacker to come in. Like part of the position's like supposed to be pretty unselfish. I don't have a problem with letting go of Tillery because, like you guys said, it does sound like he's very much an eye guy. He's cancer to the locker room, like thought about himself, put himself first before the team, and that type of mentality is pretty toxic to a locker room. My problem is that this guy wasn't dealt, is that we're just cutting him. And then my problem is that as soon as we cut him, like you said, a third of the NFL wants him. What are we doing? And then the Raiders pick him up. And then there's reports I was reading yesterday that Raiders and Chargers were in discussions for a trade. And then, you know, they didn't end up pulling the trigger on it. And I'm sitting there going, but you're going to cut him all along. Why not get an asset back? You know,
I don't think they're going to cut him all along. Do you think they're going to cut him all along? Well, I think they would have. You do? You think?
You don't just cut a guy out of nowhere. They must have been building up over time.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, that's funny. I took it as they would have traded him if they could have, but then something happened in the last 2 weeks and it became too much. I mean, otherwise, I think they would have traded him. No, we don't. I think that's why I was. Yeah. Okay, well, going back to Mario's point right there, then how dumb is the front office? Someone's going to give you something. And you say, "Oh no, I don't want that. I can't use that. What would I need another third-round draft pick for? No, we're just going to hold out the 2 weeks. And you guys can have them for free." What?
Yeah. Do you
Doesn't
think
make
the Chargers
sense.
would? Do you think the Chargers would have got back a 3rd round pick? I think they would have got
No.
something of. I think it would have been 4th or 5th, right?
Yeah, fine. Okay,
Yeah.
hell,
But still, I would have taken.
We got something.
Yeah. No, I'm with Mario. I'm with you. We should have got something back in return. There's 3 things when I see this Jerry Tillery situation that I got to raise a question. One is he's a Notre Dame guy. Typically, you don't see this out of guys that go to Notre Dame.
You're right.
Because
Yeah.
Notre Dame is like
Plus.
Notre Dame's like the Duke almost, right? They recruit
Yeah.
guys that are like clean cut and all this crap. All the crap. But second thing is Khalil Mack had his back. And I think that's a big deal because if Khalil Mack is like captain of your defense right there, Derwin James, you would think he'd be safe. If Khalil Mack wants this guy, you think he'd stay on the team. Obviously, it was such a big problem that wasn't the case. And then third thing, and the biggest thing to me, is 1st round pick. This looks terrible on Tom Telesco. This was your 1st round pick less than, was it 3 years ago he got drafted? You can't cut a guy in the 1st round unless he's this big of a problem. And we've never heard of anything out of Jerry Tillery till he got cut. I had no idea that this was an actual situation. This is very shocking to me, the way it went down.
Okay, hold on. You mentioned Khalil Mack had his back. So did Justin Herbert, right? Said we were friends.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
there's an interesting line in that and everything you just read there. When the line was, this was Brandon Staley's decision, meaning that this wasn't a team decision or this was what was best for the team. Nobody went that route. This isn't what was best for the team. This was a coach decision. Okay, and as someone that believes that the coach needs to have control of the locker room and the roster, I'm all for that. But when players throw the coach under the bus by making that statement, I mean, the players aren't in tune with what Brandon Staley thinks or what Tom Telesco thinks. It sounds like some of the players believe the Chargers made a mistake getting rid of him for nothing.
So playing just devil's advocate real quick. So was he really that big of a cancer to the locker room? Because I feel like if you're a cancer to the locker room, and I guess we've all been in locker rooms where there's a guy that's kind of a prick and no one really likes, and he's the cancer. But
100%.
Yeah, but if you ask me about that and he's removed from the team, I'm going to be like, yeah, he was a good guy, but we're good without him. And like that wasn't like the theme. So that's where, like, because I do agree, I think there's an ego thing with him and there's something wrong with that. But the fact of the matter that there isn't players going, I'm not saying they should go out there and, dump on the guy and his name and, say he shouldn't play in the NFL. But that is a little weird to me, the quotes from that and the uplifting that he got from it when he's supposed to be this guy, this cancerous guy in the locker room.
I think if he would have been a better producer on the football field, he would have stayed on the team. That's also how I feel.
Yeah.
He didn't live up to the hype. I saw on Twitter somebody put in his career he had 10.5 sacks and he had 12 penalties that led to first downs. That just kind of sums up his time with the Chargers. So I'm not super upset about him getting cut. I'm more confused about what happened and the timing of the cut. Even if he's a big issue, I think you almost have to keep him on the team because you're getting killed on the run. And you just almost got to shut up and just deal with it.
Who would have thought Notre Dame not living up to the hype? Who would have thought?
See, you guys brought up some interesting points. If it was Derwin James, man, there's no way, right? Derwin James, you're going to go through. So I'm thinking, what is the worst case scenario? What could he possibly be doing? Just speculating, as it's always fun to play the speculation game. Let's say you're coming to the sideline or you're in practice or you're in the locker room and going, our coaches don't know what they're doing. What are we doing out there? What is the scheme? I don't understand what you guys are doing. Our coaches don't know what they're doing. And he's that vocal. Well, no coach wants to be called out. They want to keep their jobs. Coaches don't make close to what the players make. Everybody wants to stay employed, including Jerry Tillery. And let's say that's the biggest thing you could do as a cancer. To me, that's where you're going, okay, man, we're going to have a talk. You can't go calling us out. And we're going to have to sit there and punish you in front of the team because now everybody knows that you called out authority. Derwin James can actually pull that move. We've seen Jalen Ramsey. We've seen guys do that who are the top tier players can do that. And they look at it as, man, that's leadership. But when you're a guy that's underachieved, Josh, like you just said, 10 sacks in your entire career, and you're going to run your mouth, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to make it better? Why don't you try it our way and see if we can win some ball games? I have no problem with them getting rid of him at the end if that's what's best. I thought the players handled it very strange. Whereas if anybody, you're Justin Herbert, you're Khalil Mack, you could easily pull the BS card. When the media comes to you, you just go, you know what? He was part of the team. Now he's no longer part of the team. Management believes this will make us better, and we're going to try and win games. We got to worry about our job, not their job. You could have easily gone a different direction instead of going, this is a Brandon Staley decision, meaning I'm not with Staley on this. If we can't stop the run, Josh, it's because Brandon Staley said we can't stop the run with Jerry Tillery.
This has been a theme all season with Keenan Allen as well. The comments have been weird. It's never been like this with the Chargers. They're always making the right decision. Chargers, for the most part, stay out of trouble, and they actually are really good with the media. They don't say a lot of dumb things. This year's just been odd. The Jerry Tillery thing about him complaining is just so funny to me. Like you said, he's had 10 sacks. Hey, I'm over here getting triple team. No, you're not. It's never. You're not Aaron Donald. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I want to transition over to around the league because on Tuesdays we usually talk about what's going on around the league. What team do you guys want to talk about today? Because I watched the Monday Night Football game last night, and it made me feel a little bit better about the Chargers, seeing that the Eagles are also a beatable team.
I love the fact that because look, I said I thought the Eagles were going to go 17-0. It was an interesting game to watch. I find myself rooting for the Commanders, by the way. I don't know. I feel like the players are in a bad situation with a bad owner, so it's kind of like the players against ownership in that one. And Josh played with a bunch of Alabama guys that in the Commanders organization. Ron Rivera was a guy I knew well when he was with the Chargers as a defensive coach, and really a good dude. And so I find myself rooting for them a lot. The Eagles had no business losing to the Commanders. If anything, I think the Eagles will tell you this is one of those games that will get us back focused on the little things we have to do. There are a couple things that happened that weren't Jalen's, fault. As we say, the quarterback's the face of the franchise. He completed a deep pass that was just absolutely beautiful. Receiver falls down, gets up, and then he fumbles the ball. Washington gets the ball back. But the play that the NFL really has to look at, there has to be a major rule change, is when the ball was thrown to the tight end and he fumbles it and Washington picks it up. He was face masked. Everybody saw there's a face mask play. Well, there wasn't a flag thrown on the face mask. You can't tell me, look, man, if I'm running and some guy grabs my face mask, I'm going, I forget the football. I don't want to snap my collarbone. I don't want to break my neck. I don't want to, right now my health becomes immediately the most important thing going. That's one of those where they have to fix the officiating off of that play and moving forward. You might have missed it with those old men who are running down the field trying to keep up with these, great athletes. But you got to look back because there's a face mask before the fumble and say, we're going to fix the issue right there. That was a major play in the game that kind of changed the outcome of the game between the Eagles and the Commanders.
Yeah, it was a big play in the game. I just think the Eagles kind of showed that, like I said, they're a beatable team and that the Chargers aren't far away from even the teams that have one loss, like the Philadelphia Eagles. I watched the Buffalo Bills game against the Vikings, and you see that the Bills are really just, in my opinion, not as good as people have made them out to be. I think there's so much open room for the Chargers to squeak in here if they get some players back like Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa. I feel really good about, the rest of the season and who we have on our schedule.
Back to the Eagles Commanders Monday night game. I'm so like cheering hard for the Commanders just because I love Heineke so much. The guy just plays his butt off. Like he plays like he has no worries in the world, and he doesn't. I mean, he's a backup. They're not going to stick with him. Might as well do everything 10%, and see what happens. And Ron Rivera is a great guy, class act. The Bills-Vikings game was alarming to me. The Bills, like earlier this year, like I even thought the Bills are invincible. Like they're Josh Allen's invincible. This team's invincible. Got killed with injuries in their secondary a little bit. When Jordan Poyer doesn't play, they are, I think, 1-4 or 1-5. I got to check back on that statistic. Either way, that's not fake news. That is true. But yeah, like I think it's very clear that the AFC, I think, is kind of up in the air. I think it's the biggest it's ever looked in that aspect. Like if you would have said this 2 weeks ago, people would be like, no, it's Bills or nothing, or Bills or Chiefs or nothing. And right now I'd be like, it's kind of anybody's game. I don't really know who's going to get hot, who's going to, do the Burrow and just do this crazy run, or what the Titans do with Derrick Henry. It's surprising. And it's also exciting because then you're sitting there going, well, we have a franchise QB who can get hot at any time. We don't have a really healthy team. What if we get healthy at the right time? What if we get hot at the right time? What if Staley starts doing his crazy fourth quarter, fourth down conversions and it's hitting? Like that excitement is what's like having me hang on to this season.
The Chargers might be that team, guys, that gets healthy at the right time. I mean, we're all on these injuries, but you're absolutely right. Let's say you get your tight end back, you get your two starting receivers back, you're getting Bosa back, and all of a sudden come December, January, where, championship teams, make their run, maybe this is the team. And the one thing Fernando said, though, was, you want to lock up that wild card before that game against Denver. Who are we kidding? That's not going to happen. We all know it's going to come down to that Denver game if they have a chance, right? That's not what the Chargers do. They don't lock games up a game before the season's over. It's not – the Chargers never have that question, hey, do you rest your starters before the playoffs? We've never been in that situation. That's not what we do. So it's going to come down to that. But at the same time, if you get your guys back, you're right. It's a completely different team. It's the team that hopefully that we thought they were before the season started.
Yeah, they're the team we thought they were before the season started, but I'm so tired of, I've said this 100 times already, I'm so tired of this game. I mean, how many times are we going to talk about this thing? And that's why I always draft Chargers in fantasy football, because you know they're going to play in week 16. You're not going to be sitting out like Travis Kelce does and Patrick Mahomes. But I really do feel positive about where we are right now, even though we're outside looking in. This team, from a talent perspective, if we do get those three guys back, Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, can compete against any team in the league. This win on Sunday, or this game on Sunday, is a must win, in my opinion. You can't go 0-2 against the Chiefs. They're the team we're chasing. I don't think we're going to win the division, but we just can't keep dropping games. If we lose this game, it's 3 of our last 4, I believe, and that just doesn't fly, man. We're already looking out from the outside in, and we have to win this game on Sunday.
I think the good news too is the thing. As a Chargers fan, you should also be watching how badly can the AFC East beat up on each other. Because now the teams right above the Chargers in that last wildcard spot is the Jets, the Bills, and the Pats. So if they can all beat the living snot out of each other and just keep giving each other losses, and Chargers can just stay steady, they can easily sneak in there. Look, the Jets defense is amazing, but Zach Wilson's going to be Zach Wilson at one point. Patriots have 2 QBs, and neither are good. So that's all. What's that saying? If you have 2 QBs, you have no QBs, especially when they both can't throw the ball downfield and are very, very average. But Hall of Fame coach, still not a great team. Bills, have a little dink in the armor right now. I think they're going to come back around. But still, if you just can watch that AFC East and go, if you guys can just beat the living snot out of each other, the Chargers just stay steady and win the games they need to win, they should be good. And that includes, don't drop stupid games. Don't drop going to Indianapolis and to the Colts. Don't drop that stupid game. Don't do any of that. None of those dory games. If you can stay consistent and let these other teams make the mistakes, you could be sitting at a good spot.
All right, so here you go right here. For the people who aren't aware what the playoff picture is in the AFC, Chiefs right now, if the playoffs started today, we'd say, hey, what the hell happened to the season? Why are we starting the playoffs in November? But if the playoffs started today, it would be Chiefs 1, Dolphins 2, Titans 3, Ravens 4, Jets 5, Bills 6, Patriots 7. The Chargers right now would be the number 8. Okay, so the number 8, and also you look at the bubble with the Chargers. The Bengals have the same exact record as the Chargers right now at 5-4. Mario's absolutely right. When you're looking at the 3 teams that are the last ones in are the Jets, Bills, Patriots. It's amazing that division. All right, for years that's the worst division of football. All of a sudden, everybody's making the playoffs in that division. So the Chiefs would have the bye. Dolphins would face the Patriots. The Bills would face the Titans, and the Jets and Ravens would face each other. That would be your week 1 of the playoffs right there for the AFC.
Yeah, I can't imagine 4 teams from the AFC East get in. The team that scares me the most, besides the Dolphins and the Chiefs, those are the 2 teams that really scare me. And the Bills, I can't forget about the Bills. There's 3 teams I actually think the Chargers would have problems with. The team right below them, or they're tied with, is the Cincinnati Bengals. I wouldn't want to play against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I do think they're the best team in that division, better than the Baltimore Ravens. The way this is going to play out is going to be interesting, man. I just don't think any team in the AFC East is that good. I really think the Dolphins aren't well-rounded. I think they've shown that they can beat teams, but they haven't played many hard teams. The Bills, I think, are very vulnerable, and I don't believe in the Jets and Patriots at all. The AFC is wide open, like we've said, and man, let's just get some guys back for this run. I can't. It'll be hard to look back at the season and say we were just never at full strength. I don't know. What do you guys think about how the AFC is and how it stacks up against the NFC?
Go ahead, Mark.
I think the AFC is 10 times stronger than the NFC. I mean, by far. I mean, just looking at the rankings, this is just so embarrassing. For the NFC, it's Eagles 1, Vikings 2, 3, Seattle 4, Tampa 5, the New York Football Giants 6, Cowboys, and 7 Niners. That literally made me want to throw up reading about half of that because I think it's pitiful. But I think it's the strength goes to the AFC side. I think it's going to be an AFC title team that comes out of it. And if you're the Chargers, it's looking at what teams are we catching at the right time. We catch the Titans in week, okay, that's 18, 17. I'm not even, all right, no, I'm not going to try to do that math. We catch the Titans. It's the 4th last game of the year. We catch them at that time. They could have the division locked up at that time. So if they have that division locked up at that time, Vrabel's not going to play his guys. So that could be an easy win. Colts could just be done by the time we play them with the third game left. Rams are a piss poor disaster with everything going on. I think Cooper Kupp might be out for the year. He got placed on IR. I'm guessing if he continue to suck, it's out for the year. Cardinals are on HBO and a crapshoot. That's gonna be great content for HBO. Congrats on them making that choice. The Dolphins, I agree with you, Josh. The Dolphins, I kind of been pushing them away a little bit and thinking like I still think you're a little bit of a pretender. They're legit. I was such an idiot and thinking that Tua this past Sunday hit every receiver on the roster in any open spot that he could. They're scary. At first I thought, dude, if Chargers play the Dolphins, it's gonna be amazing because it's just gonna be a Herbert. Let's throw the ball 1,000 times, me and you, Tua. That's freaking amazing. But now I'm sitting there going, no, Waddle and Hill would probably have like 400 yards on us combined, so I'm not really scared for that game. But at the end of the day, AFC's king. I don't know about you, Dave. I think the AFC's king, and whoever comes out of this gauntlet is going to be facing a little child, like, I don't even know, just a little child of the NFC. It's going to be embarrassing.
I'm with you guys. The AFC is a better conference. The AFC, just top to bottom, the AFC is better. I mean, Seattle's the number 3 team right now in the NFC, and you know the Buccaneers are 5-5, and you're kind of not sold even on what the Buccaneers are doing. I mean, I know we'll go over at the end of the season of what our preseason picks were and which teams made the playoffs, but you know, right now, like the Vikings are 8-1. I'm one of those guys that not sold on the Vikings. I understand they just went to Buffalo and beat Buffalo. We all know Josh Allen had a weird game. We all know Josh Allen was banged up like crazy before that game. I'm a big fan of the coach, and we know that Kirk Cousins stinks in big time games. I'm not all in on the Vikes. I'm not all in on really hardly any of the NFC teams. I think the team, again, as I mentioned last week, that will continue to get better is going to be the 49ers. I just don't think they figured out how to use all their weapons so far. But I'm not sold on the NFC. The Chiefs and the Dolphins and the Titans and everyone else, the Ravens, all these guys, Bills, those are the teams that have a chance to win the AFC and represent the Super Bowl. As I think Mario said it in our very first show, that because of the playoffs, that the AFC, the biggest concern is going to be, do they just beat the hell out of each other physically? Do they have anything left in the Super Bowl when they have to face an NFC team?
Yeah. How many teams do I believe in the NFC? One, right? I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles, the only team I think is legit. I can't trust Kirk Cousins. He only plays good when it's 1 o'clock in the day.
Yeah.
Whenever he's on prime time, he's terrible. I like to pull up these little things I see on Twitter, even though if I don't know it's real or fake anymore. But I saw if the Broncos scored 18 points every game this season, they'd be 8-1. Isn't that pretty interesting? That's how
crazy.
good. That's crazy, right? That's how good their defense has been. I was at the game when they played the Titans. That defense is legit. Just the offense is anemic. But I just love it. That's my one thing. Raiders and Broncos make me feel better every day when the Chargers don't play well. So I don't know. The AFC is a lot stronger than the NFC, but we still got to win the games on our schedule. Hopefully teams overlook us. Maybe I see that the Dolphins, they play the 49ers before us and the Chiefs after us. So maybe they overlook us. That's something you can look forward to.
You know, what I find interesting about the Dolphins as well is, you know, the Dolphins head coach was obviously connected with the Niners. They said the Dolphins, as much as I'm with Mario going, just look at their passing game and how effective it's been and how great Tua has been. And Tyreek Hill with what is going to end up with 150 receptions this year. They say the key to the Dolphins and what really their coach specializes in is the running game. They said that the Dolphins running game is so complex and so good. And then Christian McCaffrey said when he got to the Niners, I think they said it on Sunday Night Football, that he was amazed how much time went into what the running backs do on a weekly basis, whether it's blocking schemes, whether it's catching the ball out of the backfield, that it's the running game that makes the Dolphins so good, not the passing game.
Christian McCaffrey stuff was hilarious. If anybody was listening to it during the broadcast, they're like, Christian McCaffrey says that the wide receivers on the 49ers can block. It's like, dude, if you're a receiver on the Panthers, you're like, thanks. And it's saying like their scouting reports, man. They tell you who's the good players on the other team.
How about that?
If you're the Panthers organization, you're like, dude, take the microphone away from this guy. He's making this sound terrible.
Did you see that when they're like, we asked the parents about it, and the parents were like
couldn't be happier,
like, crying. Yeah, I'm like, dude, you're just dousing it on the Panthers of just how terrible an organization that is. Like, I was like, oh my god, dude. These guys
What
are,
does it say about Matt Rule? I mean, right? I mean, they bring him
Yeah.
in from Baylor, and he comes there supposed to be an offensive genius. And then the Panthers, I mean, for the line knows they tell us who's actually good is
Yeah.
insane, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, do you think
That's
Matt Rule
crazy.
is like Urban Meyer? Who's this Aaron Donald guy?
Yeah.
Did they treated the Carolina Panthers treated themselves like literally like a college football team. Like they went and got Matt Rule. Like if they were like if Bama fired Saban, well they would never. But like if they did, they'd be like, all right, let's go get Matt Rule and then Joe Brady, the passing coordinator for the LSU during Burrow's year. They just took that strategy and they're like, this will work. This will
Yeah.
work with Sam
Yeah.
Darnold. This will work.
Yeah, and didn't trade. Yeah, didn't trade what 3 first-round picks for Brian Burns. You guys are doing great.
Yeah. Great job. See, Chargers are doing fine. Chargers are doing fine.
They're doing fine. All right. So I will say this in this show, I'm going to walk away, guys, feeling there's hope. You guys sold me on that. There's hope. Health when these guys come back, that this could be a different team, but it has to happen soon. And again, I asked you this question on Sunday after the game. What's likelihood Keenan Allen plays? I'm not going to ask you the Keenan Allen question right there. I'm going to ask you about Joey Bosa. You guys right there, give me a percentage on what is the likelihood Joey Bosa comes back by December.
By December?
By December.
I'll go 75% chance.
If we beat Chiefs, Cardinals, I think it's 100%. 100%.
See,
I think it lies on this game.
We got to win. Yeah, we got to
that's
win.
a sad state, right? I mean, do you think I believe that too? I hate to say that about any pro athlete, but dude, if they're in contention and they're winning, we're going to see Joey Bosa. If they're losing, we are not going to see Joey Bosa. And yeah, it sounds like I'm calling him out. I'm calling him out. I'm like Joey Bosa's pulling it. What's in it for me card. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, you
Rashawn
can
Slater
see-
come back too. Sorry.
I think Rashawn Slater's a different guy than Joey Bosa. I think Rashawn Slater will come back as soon as he's available to come back. Offensive linemen are different. I've seen Joey Bosa take off too many plays that I don't know how much Joey Bosa loves this and it means everything to him. I mean, you're seeing guys in the NFL say this all the time, and even Carr said it when the Raiders, fell to 2-7 the other day. There are guys in this locker room that don't care about wins and losses and don't sacrifice. I think Rashawn Slater is one of those guys that, number one, when you're an offensive lineman, that quarterback is more important to you than your mother. And he wants to get on that field and protect Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think he'll die for that. But
yeah,
you said see, and you know what you can see, Dave and Josh. You can see us on YouTube if you just go to youtube.com and type in little Bolt City Podcast, and you can see myself, Dave Palais, and Josh Palais. So make sure you guys check that out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That would do great. We're all pretty good looking. So we're not faces. Hey, faces made for TV, but found radio. That's what I like to say.
I like it.
Make sure to find us out there as well as Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, to make sure to like, share, and subscribe. The more you guys subscribe, the more cool stuff we can do. Like, I don't know yet, but more cool stuff. And maybe the Chargers will win if you do.
There you go.
Sales pitch.
It's sales pitch. We guarantee world peace if you subscribe.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back in 2 days. Again, we'll break down as far as give our predictions, what's going to happen on Sunday night when the Chargers host the Chiefs. Really exciting. For Josh Palais, Mario Heron, I'm Dave Palais. We'll talk to you in a couple days, everybody.